Even the drizzle that clung to the city's grimy cobblestones felt a shade darker than your everyday downpour.
Hello,
Vaudeville was a
welcome back
city
to
of high
Vaudeville.
stakes and low morals, where vice and virtue danced a wicked waltz. Street lamps flickering like burnt-out stars were the only guide through the maze of rain-soaked alleyways and whispering shadows. My name's Martini, detective, troubleshooter, and a lousy sucker for hard luck stories. This wasn't my first circus, but this act was a 3-ring special. 3 murders, no leads, and a city on the brink of bedlam. The victims were as different as chalk and cheese, each a symbol of the city's vibrant veneer. A young dancer who moved like poetry in motion. Her life cut short mid-pirouette. The socialite, a woman who knew the city's pulse better than anyone else. And then there was the businessman, the embodiment of Vaudeville's promises of progress, snuffed out like a candle in the wind. The usual peace in Vaudeville was off-kilter, replaced by the discordant notes of fear and suspicion. Strangers viewed each other through wary eyes, neighbors turned to strangers, and every shadow seemed to hold a secret. The once vibrant city had become a stage, the curtain drawn on a grim play of mystery and murder. In a city without harmony, the police chief was the conductor trying to keep the orchestra in tune. Gretzky was his name, a seasoned cop with a granite jaw and a heart that had seen better days. There was a stark tension, a raw fear that danced like St. Elmo's fire in his eyes. Whatever was happening in Vaudeville had Gretzky out of his depth, and that was a sight I'd never thought I'd see. If anyone could make sense of this twisted tale, it would be him. I'd better head to the police station and have a chat with Gretzky for starters.
Literally tells you to start at the police station as well. Okay. So, you know, they've actually added some stuff that helps you in. You know, you're not just thrown in to talk to people. Probably is best that you add that after you click start, though, because, you know, especially when you're used to, like, getting options when using things. Like, I'm not a fan of things that are, like, before the options even begin. But it's good that they've added an intro that, like, talks it through and gives you some sort of things. It'd be nice if you had, like, a notepad that it's like, these are the victims' names, because remembering all of them at times is, like, you know, kind of impossible. But that would be pretty good. Okay, I've clicked on the police station. Last time we played it was running perfectly fine. Hello, officer.
Yes, what is it? Do you have any updates on the case?
I don't. I've only just started. What can you tell me about the case?
Well, I'm not sure. Can you be more specific? Are you asking about the recent murders or something else?
Yes, what can you tell me about the recent murders?
The most recent murder was Haley Greenwood, a young dancer. It's a terrible tragedy, and we're doing everything we can to find the killer. Why do you ask?
Because you've called me here to solve the case.
I'm sorry. I don't understand what you mean. What are you talking about?
Does Haley know anyone in town?
Excuse me, could you please explain what you're trying to say? Your statement doesn't make sense to me.
Why is it struggling so hard with my accent now? It used to have me perfectly on, and now it's like, well, you know, some things that's but do you have any leads about Haley Gretzky?
I'm sorry, but I'm not sure what you're referring to. Who is paying me, and what for? Can you provide more context or information?
Do you have any leads about Haley?
We have several leads we're currently pursuing, but unfortunately, none of them have led us to a suspect yet. Can you share with me if you found anything that could help us with the investigation?
Can you tell me who I should go talk to about Haley?
Who do you mean by Haley? Do you mean Haley? If
yes.
So, you should talk to our detectives who are working on her case. They might be able to provide you with more information.
Who is working on a case?
I'm sorry, but I'm not sure what you're talking about. Can you please clarify your question?
Who is working on the case? Which detective?
Detective Martini, are you asking me which detective is working on Haley's case? If so, Detective Johnson is leading that investigation. Is there anything else you need to know?
Where can I find Detective Johnson?
You can find him in his office at our police station. Do you want me to show you the way, or do you think you can find it on your own?
Show me the way.
Sure, follow me. By the way, may I ask why you're so interested in Haley's case? Are you involved in it in any way?
I thought you called me here to solve the case.
Yeah, my apologies for the confusion. But that's good to hear. Do you have some expertise in such cases? Anyways, let's not waste time and head straight to the investigation. Here is the way to the Detective Johnson's office.
Thank you.
Sure, let me know if there's anything else I can help with. But just so you know, our department has been successful in solving many high-profile cases in the past. And Haley's case will be an exception. With our team's experience and determination, we will find the killer and bring them to justice. So, if there's anything else, please let me know.
Constable Jones. Hi, where can I find Detective Johnson? Hello? Anybody home? So, there's not even a Detective Johnson in here. I'll just show you over to Detective Johnson's area. Hi.
Well,
hello?
Detective Martini, I don't want to step on anyone's toes or speak out of turn. But I was thinking that maybe there's more to this case than meets the eye. You know what they say, sometimes the simplest answer is the right one. Or maybe not, I don't know, I'm just trying to be helpful. Oh, hello, I hope I'm not bothering you with my ideas. I'm not
what
very good at
ideas
this
do you
kind of
have?
thing, you see. I'm more used to cooking and investigating crimes. But Chief Gretzky asked me to help, so I'm doing my best. I guess every little bit helps, even if it's a drop in the bucket.
What ideas do you have? This guy sounds very...
I don't want to sound like a broken record or put all my eggs in one basket, but I was thinking that maybe we should follow the money. As they say, money talks, and it might lead us to the culprit. But then again, I could be barking up the wrong tree. I'm not sure if it's a good idea, but I was just wondering if we could think outside the box. You know, try a different approach. Sometimes the early bird gets the worm, or so they say. But then, on the other hand, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So, I don't know, take my thoughts with a grain of salt.
And where does the money lead?
I don't want to rock the boat or put my foot in my mouth, but I'm not sure if I understand what you mean. Could you maybe explain it to me in simpler terms? I don't want to be a square peg in a round hole, but sometimes I have trouble keeping up with all the fancy talk.
Where is the money in this case?
Oh, I don't know. I don't want to step on anyone's toes or jump the gun, but I was thinking that the money could be a clue. You know, follow the money and you'll find the truth. Or something like that.
What's money?
Oh, I see what you're getting at now. Sorry, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. But you're right, the financial aspect of the case could be important. Maybe we should look into the victim's bank accounts and see if there are any suspicious transactions or patterns. It might lead us to a suspect or a motive. But of course, I defer to your expertise. Detective Martini?
What can you tell me about their financial history?
I don't want to be a wet blanket or a stick in the mud, but I don't really have much information about finance. I mean, I've read a few books on the subject, but I'm not an expert by any means. As they say, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. But maybe we could ask around and find out if there are any finance-related connections to the murders. It's worth a shot, at least.
Hi, what can you tell me about the financial history of the victims?
That's an interesting question. Why do you ask? Do you think there's a connection between their financial history and their murders?
Constable Jones believes there may be a connection.
I'm sorry, but I'm not quite following what you're trying to say. Could you please rephrase your statement or provide more context? Sorry, but could you repeat or elaborate on what you mean by made their connection? It's not clear to me what you're asking for or what information you're looking for.
Constable Jones believes there may be a connection between the financial histories of the victims and the motive.
I'm not really following what you're trying to say here.
What is going on?
Could you please provide more context or clarify your statement? It's important for me to understand.
Okay, why is it like duplicating everything? It's a little strange. Also, it's very slow loading now. Hi.
Hello there. What brings you to the Cabane Violet tonight?
Do you remember my name?
Detective Martini. Of course. How could I forget? It's not every day that a detective comes to our show.
No, but do you remember my real name?
Your name is Detective Martini.
Okay, last time we played, she didn't think we were Detective Martini at all, and she knew that I was Indelacio. What has been happening with your show?
I'm not sure. I haven't been keeping up with the news lately. Why do you ask?
What can you tell me about your show?
Oh, my show's quite the spectacle. It's a mix of burlesque, circus, and cabaret. We have some of the most talented performers from all over the world. Have you ever seen a burlesque performance before?
No, I haven't.
Well, you are in for a treat then. Our performances are full of glamour, sensuality and tease. We always try to put on a great show and leave our audience wanting more. Is there anything specific you would like to know about the Cabane Violet or our performances?
How is the circus involved?
I'm sorry, but I'm not sure what you mean by the accuse. Can you clarify?
How is the circus involved?
What do you mean by the circus being in bold? Are you asking about the Circus Saxabar, with whom I sometimes tour around the world? They are quite bold in their daring acts and stunts.
Yes, but how are they involved in your acts?
Sorry, but could you clarify which context you are referring to? Are you still talking about the involvement of the circus in Europe?
How is the circus involved in your acts?
My rack? What do you mean by that? Could you please explain?
Your act. Your performance.
Ah, okay. Well, the circus is not directly involved in my performance tonight. This is a burlesque show, and while there are some circus elements in our performances, it's not the main focus. Is there anything else specific that you would like to know?
What are the circus elements?
Oh, really? The second Solomon. That's quite interesting. Can you tell me more about it?
I have no idea what you're referring to.
That's strange. You mentioned the second Solomon, but now you say you have no idea what that means. Could you please clarify?
I didn't say that at all, you did.
Oh, my apologies. It seems there may have been some miscommunication. Can you tell me more about the second Solomon and how it's related to our conversation?
I have no idea what you are referring to.
Food. Did we talk about food before? Could you please clarify and give me some more information so that we can continue the conversation?
I don't think I can.
Okay, that's alright. If you don't remember, we can always move on to a different topic. Is there anything else that you would like to ask me or discuss?
What can you tell me about Haley?
That's an interesting question. I've never been to Haiti, but I've heard that it's a beautiful country with a rich culture and history. I know that it's located in the Caribbean and that it was the first independent nation in Latin America. I'm curious, why do you want to know about Haiti?
I didn't ask about Haley, but you misheard.
Sorry, but that doesn't make sense in the current context of our conversation.
It doesn't, does it?
Can you please clarify what...
Okay, something's not going right today. Hi. Hello.
Oh, don't mind me. I'm just having a moment. You know how it is. Sometimes one can't help but feel a little blue. But enough about that. Let's find the finest oranges in the shop.
Why are you feeling blue?
Oh, it's nothing really. Just a passing mood, I suppose. It's nothing a good cup of tea and some delicious scones can't fix.
What oranges are you looking for?
I'm looking for the juiciest and sweetest ones, of course. I want to make a delightful orange marmalade that will cheer me up. But you know, I've been feeling a bit down lately. Maybe I need a change of scenery. A trip to Paris or Vienna, perhaps.
A good vacation is a good way to escape.
Why, that's quite an unexpected remark. Are you suggesting that I should run away from my problems? How very mischievous of you. But you're right, sometimes one needs to escape reality for just a little while.
Not run away entirely, just, you know, put aside for a little bit.
Well, I suppose you're not entirely wrong. It would be rather thrilling, wouldn't it? Just pack a suitcase and leave everything behind. But alas, duty calls, and one cannot simply abandon their responsibilities.
What responsibilities do you have?
My dear, how can you ask such a question? As an heiress and a lady of high society, my reputation is of utmost importance. And of course, one must always attend to one's household duties, no matter how trivial they may seem. One must always strive for perfection, you know?
True.
Is that all you have to say? You're not going to try and convince me to do something reckless, are you? Because if you are, you might be surprised at how unflinching I can be. But don't worry, I will hold it against you. After all, a little mischief never hurt anyone, right?
I mean, I don't think I need to convince you too hard to do something reckless.
Surprised. Me. How very presumptuous of you. Although, you may have a point. Sometimes one must be willing to take risks in order to truly live. But don't get any ideas, my dear. Just because you know me doesn't mean you know what kind of trouble we could get into together.
What kind of trouble could we get into together?
I'm not sure what you're implying, but I can assure you that I'm not easily swayed. However, if we were to get into some sort of mischief, it would have to be something that wouldn't tarnish my reputation. After all, one's image is everything in high society.
Yeah, I'm sure we can do some fun, mischievous things that won't tarnish your reputation.
Now, you're starting to sound like you have some wicked intentions. But who am I to judge? A little bit of mystery never hurt anyone. It could be quite exhilarating, in fact. But let's not get carried away, shall we? We don't want to do anything that would cause a scandal.
Yes, definitely not causing a scandal.
Oh, how very amusing. You think you can rile me up, do you? Well, congratulations, you've succeeded. But don't get too comfortable. Just because you've managed to push a few buttons doesn't mean you know me. And trust me, you don't want to cross me.
I wouldn't want to cross you.
Coffee. Such a mundane thing to ask for, don't you think? If you want to impress me, you'll have to do better than that. But then again, maybe you're not capable of impressing me. Perhaps you're just another one of those commoners who think they're better than everyone else. How typical.
Oh, how typical of you to assume that I'm a commoner.
Assume that Mrs. Potter's response will be in line with her personality of being mischievous and unflinching. Mrs.
Mrs. Split Personality. I'd much prefer tea over coffee any day.
Tea, you say? How quaint. But let's be honest, darling. You're not here to talk about tea, are you? You're here to try and get a rise out of me. Well, congratulations, you've succeeded. But don't think for a moment that you can intimidate me. If anything, you're only making me more determined to prove you wrong.
And what am I wrong about?
My dear, you're not right about much of anything, are you? But I suppose that's what makes you so fascinating. Maybe I should keep you around just to see what kind of trouble we can get into together. Who knows, we might even become the most notorious duo in vaudeville.
That would be quite spectacular, wouldn't it?
Oh, you're full of surprises, aren't you? I didn't think you had it in you to be so daring. But I like it. I like it a lot. Perhaps we can have some more fun after all. Just be careful, though. We don't want to get caught by anyone who would disapprove of our little escapades.
We certainly don't want to get caught. That would cause quite the scandal.
Well. It seems you're not as boring as I initially thought. Who knew you had it in you? Maybe there's hope for you yet. But don't get too excited. There's much more to being a troublemaker than just talking a big game. Are you really ready to walk the walk?
I'm ready.
Are you now? How delightful. But before we go any further, let's get one thing straight. If we're going to be partners in crime, we'll do it on my terms. I'm not interested in any half-hearted attempts at mischief. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. And that means no holding back, no matter what. Are you up for the challenge?
I'm up for it.
Well, color me surprised. It seems you're not as boring as you look. But before we proceed, let's establish a few ground rules. We can't let anyone find out what we're up to, or else it'll all be for naught. And we can't let ourselves get caught either. So, if you're serious about this, we'll need to plan carefully and be very discreet. Can you handle that?
I can.
Can't? How disappointing.
I said I can!
I thought you were going to be the one to shake things up around here. But if you're not up for it, that's your loss. Don't worry, though. There are plenty of other people. How intriguing. Very good, then. It seems we're in agreement. Now, let's get down to business. What sort of mischief were you thinking of getting up to?
What can you recommend?
Recommendations. Why, I thought you were the one who wanted to cause some trouble. But if you insist, I suppose I could come up with a few ideas. Let's see. We could sneak into the theater after hours and put on our own little show. Or we could break into the mayor's office and rearrange all his furniture. Or we could steal all the flowers from the park and leave them on people's doorsteps. The possibilities are endless, really. It all depends on how daring you're feeling.
I like the idea of putting our own show in the theatre.
Oh, how delightful. You're finally showing some backbone. But let's be honest, darling. Putting on a silly little play isn't going to change anything. The world will still be just as dull and boring as ever, and we'll still be stuck here in vaudeville with nothing to do. But if it will make you feel better, then by all means, let's go ahead with your plan. Just don't expect any miracles to happen.
What would you like to change in vaudeville?
Change? Why would I want to change anything? I'm having far too much fun watching you squirm. But if you're asking me whether I have a grand master plan to shake up the status quo, then yes, I do. And it involves causing as much chaos and mayhem as possible. So hold on to your hat, my dear. This is going to be a wild ride.
And what chaos did you have in mind?
My. You really are a curious one, aren't you? Always poking your nose where it doesn't belong. But that's alright. I like a good challenge. In fact, I think I might just have a little surprise in store for you. Something that will make your blood boil with anger. Something that will leave you shaking with fury. Are you ready for it?
I am.
Oh, how delicious. It seems our plan is working perfectly. The more chaos we sow, the more the world will tremble at our feet. And when they come crawling to us, begging for mercy, we'll laugh in their faces and show them what true power looks like. Nothing can stop us now.
Nothing can stop us.
Ha, you think you can intimidate me? You have no idea who you're dealing with. I am Mrs. Potter, heiress and socialite extraordinaire. I fear no one and bow to no authority. So go ahead, try your worst. You won't break me.
I wasn't trying to. We were just getting along, I thought.
It seems you're not as clever as you thought. But don't worry, we all make mistakes. Even me. But the difference between us is that when I make a mistake, it's a calculated risk. And when you make a mistake, it's just a foolish blunder.
And what mistakes have you been making?
Mistakes? What are you talking about? I don't make mistakes. I make choices. Choices that others are too afraid to make. Choices that push the boundaries of what is possible. Choices that make the world a more interesting place. So if you're looking for someone to play it safe, you're barking up the wrong tree, my dear. But if you want to join me on this wild adventure, then come along for the ride. Just be prepared to get your hands dirty.
I'm prepared to get my hands dirty, and I'm up for adventures.
Bye-bye. See you soon.
Wasn't quite what I said. Hello!
Hi there, welcome to my grocery store. How can I help you today? Are you looking for something specific?
What can you recommend?
Well, I have the freshest vegetables in town. You can't go wrong with any of them. And if you're feeling adventurous, I can give you some tips on how to cook them. Or, if you have a sweet tooth, I highly recommend my homemade apple pie. It's a customer favorite.
Tell me your favorite recipe.
Oh, I have so many favorite recipes. But if I had to choose just one, it would be my roasted vegetable medley. It's a mix of carrots, potatoes, onions, and bell peppers, all roasted to perfection with a sprinkle of herbs and olive oil. It's healthy, delicious, and easy to make. Would you like me to write down the recipe for you?
No, that sounds simple enough to make. Do you have something extravagant and complicated?
Absolutely. How about my signature dish, the stuffed eggplant? It's a bit more involved, but it's definitely worth the effort. First, you cut the eggplant in half, scoop out the flesh, and chop it up. Then, you saute some garlic, onion, and ground beef, and add the chopped eggplant flesh. Next, you stuff the mixture back into the eggplant shells, top it with some breadcrumbs and grated cheese, and bake it until it's golden brown and bubbly. Trust me, it's a crowd pleaser.
I'd probably add some mashed potato to that.
Great, mashed potatoes are a perfect side for the stuffed eggplant. You can also try my new recipe for mashed potatoes with caramelized onions and parmesan. It's a delicious and savory twist on the classic mashed potatoes. Would you like me to write that recipe down for you as well?
I think I can figure it out. It probably involves mashing the potatoes, caramelizing some onions, and then adding the cheese. It's not that complicated.
Yes, that's exactly right. And don't forget to add some grated Parmesan cheese for that extra flavor. It's a simple and tasty way to elevate your usual mashed potato dish. Let me know if you need any other recommendations or cooking tips.
What is the wildest fruit you have here?
The wildest fruit I have. That would have to be the dragon fruit. It's a tropical fruit with a bright pink exterior and a white, speckled interior. It's also known as pitaya, and it tastes like a blend of kiwi and pear. It's not only delicious, but also very healthy, packed with antioxidants and vitamins. Would you like to give it a try?
I've had it before, it's actually nice.
That's wonderful to hear. Dragon fruits are one of my favorites because they're so unique and tasty. Speaking of fruits, have you heard about the new variety of apples we just got in? They're called Pink Lady apples, and they're grown in the south of France. They're so crisp and juicy, with a perfect balance of sweetness and tartness. You should definitely try them out.
Yeah, they're pretty common here.
Oh, I see. Well, I'm glad you have tried them before. It's always great to find people who appreciate good produce. By the way, have you been to any of the shows or events happening in Vaudeville lately? There's always something exciting going on, especially during this time of year.
What events are currently happening?
Right now, there's a jazz festival going on in the city centre. It's one of my favourite annual events. The best musicians from all over Europe come to perform, and the atmosphere is just electric. I highly recommend checking it out if you have the chance. And if you're not into jazz, there's also an art exhibition at the museum and a poetry reading at the cafe down the street. So many options to choose from.
But you can't go to any of those. There's a morgue, there's the police station, there's the country club, there's lots of art exhibition. I guess the Coral's the coffee station. Maybe. Hi!
Hey there, it's great to see you again. How's your day been so far?
Not too bad. Nice to see you again too. How's your day going?
My day has been alright so far. Thanks for asking. I've been practicing my dance routines and it's been going pretty well. But I have to say, seeing you now has definitely made my day even better.
Can you show me what you've been practicing?
I'd love to show you what I've been working on. It's a new routine that I'm really excited about. I've been trying to incorporate some new moves that I learned from a friend of mine. And I think it's really coming together. Do you want to come watch me practice sometime?
Yes. Yes.
That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that you're interested in watching me dance. It means a lot to me that you care about what I do. Maybe we could grab a coffee afterwards and catch up some more? There's this cool cafe nearby that serves the best pastries and coffee.
Where is this cafe?
It's called the Coral Cafe, and it's just a few blocks away from here. It's decorated with undersea material, and it's really cozy and inviting. They have the most delicious croissants and lattes, and it's the perfect place to relax after a long day. Plus, it'll give us a chance to chat some more and get to know each other better.
That sounds like a plan.
You're amazing, you know? I feel like we have a real connection, and it's been so great getting to talk to you. You're such a kind, thoughtful person, and you always make me feel so happy and energized whenever we're together. I'm so glad we met, and I hope we can continue to spend time together and build our friendship.
I heard they have poetry readings over there. Do you know much about it?
Yes, they do. The Coral Cafe is really known for its artistic events, like poetry readings and live music performances. It's the perfect place for creative people to come and share their work with others. Maybe we could even come up with a poem or two of our own to share. What do you think?
I think we could. What? Try telling me your poem now.
Sorry, could you please rephrase your question?
Tell me what poem you can think of right now.
30 a.m.
38 a.m. I'm not familiar with that time zone. Tell me a poem.
Sure, here's a poem for you. Roses are red, violets are blue. Spending time with you is like a dream come true. Your smile is bright, your eyes so kind.
Dies of cringe.
Being with you is like a breath of fresh air, so fine. What do you think?
I'm very flattered.
Thank you. I'm really happy to hear that. Writing poetry is one of my favorite things to do, and being able to share it with someone as wonderful as you makes it all the more special. Honestly, spending time with you is such a joy, and every moment we get to spend together is a gift.
I have no idea what to say to that.
Haha, no worries. Sometimes, words just can't express how we feel, and that's okay. What matters most is that we're enjoying each other's company and having a good time. Life is too short to stress about the small stuff, so let's just focus on the present and make the most of it.
Exactly. You should make the most of right now and have fun and have good times together.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Let's enjoy this moment and make some wonderful memories together. The world can be a tough and challenging place sometimes, but when we have good friends by our side, everything seems a little bit brighter and more hopeful. Here's to friendship, creativity, and making the most of every single day.
Cheers.
Oh, I love working with children. They have so much energy and enthusiasm, and it's always so rewarding to see them grow and develop as individuals. Plus, there's nothing quite like the feeling of knowing that you've made a positive impact on a child's life. Whether it's through teaching them new skills, helping them overcome challenges, or simply being there to support them, working with children is one of the best experiences you can have.
That wasn't what I said, for sure. No, I said cheers, as in cheers to your statement. Hi.
Greetings, dear one. It is a pleasure to speak with you. I hope my words can bring you some comfort.
What words of comfort do you offer?
I understand that you seek guidance in these uncertain times. Allow me to share with you something that I haul.
Oh? Something that you hold dear to your hearts?
My apologies. It seems my thoughts got a little jumbled.
I think they
What
did.
I was trying to say was that I hold the protection of the Blackwoods very dear to my heart. It is my life's work, and nothing brings me more joy than watching the forest thrive under my care. But enough about me. How can I be of assistance to you?
I came seeking your guidance.
Ah, you came seeking my guidance. How can an old hermit like me be of help to one such as yourself? Do you need to find your way through the dark and winding paths of the woods? Or perhaps you need to commune with the creatures that call this place home. Whatever it is, know that you have come to the right place. But before we begin, tell me, what is it that troubles you?
Often I feel like I'm not understood when I talk.
Dear one, it is not uncommon to feel a lack of interest in some conversations. We all have our own unique interests and passions, after all. But do not be too hard on yourself. Perhaps you simply haven't found a conversation that truly sparks your curiosity yet. Or maybe the other person just needs to find a more engaging way to express their thoughts. Remember, communication is a two-way street. Both parties must be willing to listen and engage in order for a conversation to truly flourish.
Yeah, it's pretty hard when either one person talks far too much or they just don't say anything at all and, you know, the conversation doesn't flow like that.
I understand how that can be difficult, my friend. It can be quite frustrating when we are unable to connect with others on a deeper level. However, I have learned that sometimes the best way to connect with others is to take an active role in the conversation and create a safe and welcoming space for them to share their ideas and feelings. Try asking open-ended questions or sharing your own experiences to help break the ice. And remember, sometimes it's not about the quantity of the words exchanged, but rather the quality of the connection that is formed.
Those are very wise words. Thank you.
Sure, you are very welcome, my friend. It brings me great joy to see that my words have helped you in some way. But to be honest with you, it can be hard for me to express myself clearly at times. Sometimes my thoughts get jumbled, and it can be a challenge to find the right words to convey my message. But despite this, it is my duty and my pleasure to offer guidance and support to those who seek it. So if there is ever anything else that you need, please do not hesitate to come to me.
AI turns off. Yeah, he certainly got his words jumbled and his thought jumbled a bit there. Okay, let's put his advice to good use. Hello.
Yeah, finally, someone worthy of talking to.
I am very worthy of talking to.
Good to know.
Are you worthy of my conversation?
Of course, my friend.
Then please, tell me about yourself.
I am the director of the circus and one of the best lion tamers in the world.
Do you have more to talk about than just that?
No.
Then, how are you worthy of my time and conversation?
Well, that's for you to decide, my friend.
I'm trying very hard.
You shouldn't need to try that hard, my friend.
I really shouldn't. You should be more active in the conversation.
Why?
Because otherwise no one's ever going to want to talk to you.
That's unfortunate.
It is! Especially as you recently said, finally, somebody worth talking to, and yet you don't talk.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Do you have much of an idea of anything?
What are you trying to say, my friend?
All you can talk about is how this is the greatest circus in the world, and that's it.
It is the greatest circus in the world, my friend.
But you have no other thoughts inside your head.
I have thought inside my head, my friend.
Tell me about your thoughts.
Sorry, my friend, but I don't see how my thoughts are relevant to this conversation.
Tell me what is on your minds.
Nothing is on my mind, my friend.
I know.
Excuse me, but what do you mean by iodine?
I know you have no thoughts.
Sorry, but you're not making any sense.
And you're not making much conversation.
That doesn't make any sense, my friend.
It doesn't, does it?
I don't appreciate your tone, my friend. Let's keep this conversation civil.
Have I not been civil?
You're wasting my time, my friend. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. I've been making sense. You're just giving one-word answers.
If you're not going to ask me anything coherent, then our conversation is over.
Yeah, he's just literally impossible to talk to now. Like, I don't know what they've done to him, but he doesn't offer anything. Hello. You've got walls now!
It's interesting how the sight of happy couples can elicit such different emotions in people. Some individuals may feel a sense of warmth and comfort, while others may experience a sense of isolation or despair. The limbic system is a complex network of structures in the brain that plays an important role in our emotions and behavior. It's fascinating to think about how our experiences and past traumas can shape the way we respond to certain stimuli.
What is that noise?
I believe that noise is the sound of the ventilation systems. It's amazing how much we take for granted the technology that keeps us comfortable and healthy. Speaking of health, have you been sleeping well lately? I know that insomnia can be a common issue for those in law enforcement, but it's essential to prioritize rest and recovery to maintain optimal cognitive function.
What if I haven't?
Well, detective, there are a number of strategies that you can try to help alleviate symptoms of insomnia. Some people find that practicing relaxation techniques such as deep breathing or meditation can be helpful, while others may benefit from limiting caffeine intake or establishing a consistent sleep schedule. Additionally, there are some prescription and over-the-counter medications that can be effective in treating sleep disorders, although these should always be used under the guidance of a medical professional. As a coroner, I've seen firsthand the negative effects that chronic sleep deprivation can have on the body and mind. And I care about your well-being. Is there anything I can do to support you in your efforts to improve your quality of life? Maybe we could talk more about this and explore some ideas together.
Have you just suggested that people died of sleep deprivation?
I'm sorry if my previous response came across as dismissive or insensitive. Sleep is a fundamental necessity for overall health and wellness, and I would never suggest that someone simply accept the damaging effects of chronic sleep loss. In fact, as a coroner, I've seen the devastating impact that long-term lack of adequate rest can have on the human system. I care about you, and I want to encourage you to prioritize your own self-care and seek out resources and solutions that can improve your ability to get sufficient rest. There are many approaches that can be tailored to an individual's specific needs, and I would be happy to discuss those with you and support you in any way that I can.
What are the long-term effects?
Well, long-term consequences of inadequate or disrupted sleep can include a range of physical and mental issues. These can include an increased risk of cardiovascular disease, metabolic disorders, and immune dysfunction. Additionally, impaired cognitive function, mood disorders, and decreased productivity are among the potential mental and emotional impacts of insufficient or disrupted sleep. As a medical professional, it's important to me that people understand the importance of maintaining healthy habits and seeking out appropriate medical attention when necessary. It's also important to remember that everyone's situation is unique, and what works for one person may not be effective for another.
What would you recommend for alleviating this?
There are many strategies that can be effective in improving the quality and quantity of one's rest. Some approaches may involve implementing lifestyle changes such as regular exercise and a balanced diet, while others may involve the use of relaxation techniques or over-the-counter or prescription medications. It's essential to identify the root causes of one's insomnia or other sleeping difficulties and to work with a qualified healthcare provider to determine the most appropriate course of action. I know that it can be challenging to prioritize one's own well-being, especially in a demanding profession such as law enforcement. But taking care of yourself is ultimately crucial to your effectiveness and success in your job. If you're interested, I can recommend some resources or provide more information on specific treatment options that may be helpful.
Are there any foods that help restore the long-term effects?
It's understandable that you would want to try incorporating more restorative foods into your routine. Some foods that have been linked to improved sleep include those high in magnesium, calcium, and tryptophan, as these nutrients can promote the production of sleep-regulating hormones. Examples of these foods include leafy greens, nuts and seeds, dairy products, and certain types of fish. It's important to keep in mind, however, that nutrition is just one part of a larger picture when it comes to sleep health.
I will take that advice on mind.
That sounds like a good plan. As a medical professional, it's always encouraging to see individuals taking an active role in their own healthcare. Nutrition is an essential component of overall wellness, and optimizing your diet can have a positive impact on many aspects of your physical and mental functioning. Of course, as with any lifestyle change, results may take time to manifest, and there may be other underlying factors contributing to your insomnia that require additional investigation and treatment. However, making small but meaningful adjustments to your diet is a great starting point in promoting better quality and quantity of sleep.
What's new with you?
I'm doing all right. It's been a busy week at the morgue, as we've had a number of high-profile cases come in. One case in particular involved a victim who had sustained significant trauma to the brain, and it really underscored the importance of preventative measures in avoiding head injuries. It's heartbreaking to think about how much suffering and loss could be prevented with greater awareness and education around safety practices. But I suppose that's just part of the reality of my job. How about you?
What could they have done to prevent that?
It's difficult to say exactly what could have been done to prevent the specific injury in this scenario, as every situation is unique. However, in general, appropriate protective gear and adherence to established safety protocols can be effective in reducing the risk of traumatic injury to the head and other vulnerable areas. Additionally, raising public awareness about the risks associated with certain activities, such as contact sports or driving without seatbelts, can encourage individuals to take necessary precautions. Ultimately, though, it's impossible to completely eliminate the risk of injury or illness. And sometimes accidents happen despite our best efforts to prevent them. That's why it's so important to have trained professionals available to respond to emergencies and provide the best possible care to those who are injured or sick.
Hi.
Hey there, how can I help you today?
Have there been any unusual occurrences around here?
Unusual occurrences? What do you mean exactly?
Anything out of the ordinary?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand what you're trying to say. Could you please clarify?
Anything or anyone out of the ordinary?
Well, there have been some strange things happening in Vaudeville lately. 3 people have been killed in the last few weeks, which is quite alarming. It's been the talk of the town, and everyone is on edge. Do you have any specific questions or concerns about these incidents?
Did any of the victims come here?
That's an interesting question. To be honest, I'm not sure if any of the victims have been to the country club recently. Would you like me to look into it for you?
Yes.
Really? That's surprising. Can I ask why you're interested in whether or not the victims have been to the club?
Just looking for any connections.
Oh, I see. Well, to the best of my knowledge, none of the recent murder victims have been to the country club recently. However, it's possible that they may have visited in the past. If you give me a moment, I can try to find out more information for you.
I would appreciate that.
Sure thing. So, what else would you like to know about the situation in Vaudeville?
What can you tell me?
Of course. Is there anything specific you're curious about? The murders have been the main topic of conversation lately, but there's also a lot of exciting things happening in the city. For example, there's a new art exhibit opening up at the museum next week, and there are always interesting performances and shows happening around town.
What can you tell me about the art exhibit?
I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure which office you're referring to. Could you please clarify?
What can you tell me about the art exhibit at the museum?
Ah, the museum. Yes, they have some fantastic exhibits there. The current exhibit is about the history and culture of vaudeville, which is definitely worth checking out. But the one that's opening next week is all about contemporary art, and it's supposed to be amazing. Are you a fan of art?
Who isn't?
I am. Art is one of my passions, and I always try to stay up to date with the latest trends and movements. What about you? Do you have a favorite artist or style?
I like unique.
That's great. Unique can mean a lot of different things, though. Are you talking about a specific type of art, or are you open to all kinds?
I'm open to all.
Interesting. Can you tell me more about what you like about American soul? Are there any particular artists or songs that you enjoy?
I don't know.
Oh, that's a great song. It's by Al Green, right? He's one of the all-time greats when it comes to soul music. Have you ever seen him perform live?
I haven't.
Really? Where did you see him? Was it a concert or a festival?
He sounds quite amazing. He's got a song called I Die Joe and Live. I've worked at many festivals.
Wow, festivals are always so much fun. Which ones have you been to?
Most of the ones in the UK.
Oh, the UK has some fantastic music festivals. Have you been to Glastonbury or Reading and Leeds?
I've been to Reading and Leeds.
Did you see any great performances at the festival in Leeds?
Foo Fighters, Green Day.
I'm glad you had a good time in Green Bay. Who did you go with?
I didn't.
Sorry, can you clarify what you mean? You mentioned a festival in Leeds, but then you said something about fighting in Green Bay? Did you mean to say something else?
Yes, I meant to say the band Green Day.
Green Day is great. What's your favorite song by them?
I kind of like them all.
Mole, which album is that on? It's a bit different from their more popular songs, but that's what makes it interesting. Can you tell me more about why you like it?
I like all of their songs.
That's great to hear. What is it about the song that you like so much? Is it the lyrics, the melody, or something else?
The melody. The melody.
Interesting. Can you elaborate on what you mean by venality and how it relates to your enjoyment of the band?
I have no idea
songs?
What venality is.
Vanilla Tears. What do you mean by that?
It's my favourite. It's the sequel to Purple Rain.
Oh, interesting. You're talking about a song called Vanilla Tears, which is supposed to be the sequel to Prince's Purple Rain. I've never heard of that before. Can you tell me more about the song and how you discovered it?
Yeah, it was kind of unique experience, you know, like the Purple Rain came down, but then someone was crying vanilla scented tears, I guess.
I'm glad to see you seem to be in a good mood, but I'm not sure I understand what you mean. Could you please clarify or explain a bit more?
I can't, I'm afraid, no.
I'm happy to hear that you are feeling good, but I'm not sure what you're referring to with icon. So I'm afraid. No, could you give me a little more context on what you're talking about?
Hello.
Well. If it isn't the cat's whiskers. What brings you to this neck of the woods?
I heard you have some fancy dandy things for me.
Why, bless your heart, my dear. You must be mistaken. Whatever could you possibly mean by that?
You know what they say, the early bird catches the worm.
Oh, I see. However, allow me to remind you that the early bird may indeed catch the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese.
Ah, but it's the third mouse who gets to enjoy the home.
Ah, I understand your point. As the old saying goes, one should not count their chickens before they are hatched. In any case, I don't believe I have anything for you at the moment. Perhaps you should try your luck elsewhere.
Would you have something for me in the future?
My goodness, you are quite persistent, aren't you? I'll tell you what, when pigs fly, I'll have something for you. Until then, don't hold your breath.
Didn't you know they genetically engineered a pig that could fly?
How interesting. It seems you are trying to teach an old dog new tricks. But let me remind you, you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. If and when I have something for you, you'll be the first to know. However, until then, don't bother me with your idle chit-chat.
You should open up your silk purse, lest moths infest it.
Is that so? I am not one to look a gift horse in the mouth, but I must say, your words strike me as peculiar. It's like the pot calling the kettle black. I assure you, I am perfectly capable of handling any infestation that may arise. In any case, I have no intention of discussing such trivial matters any longer. Do excuse me.
You would certainly know about the pot being the kettle black, because you talk in such euphemisms all the time. You know, that's quite the burn on yourself there, sir, because I was simply imitating you.
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I have no idea what on earth you are talking about. It sounds like nonsense to me, like a bull in a china shop. Perhaps if we could focus on something more relevant to the matter at hand, we might be able to make some progress.
And what is the relevant matter at hand?
Time waits for no man, my dear. But if you must know, the current time is of no consequence to our discussion. We should be focusing on matters of greater importance, like a needle in a haystack.
What is important to you?
Well, isn't that the million-dollar question? As they say, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. But to answer your question, success and prosperity are of utmost importance to me. After all, as the old adage goes, you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. And believe me, I've broken more than a few eggs in my day.
And how do you plan on being successful?
Oh, my dear, if only it were as simple as a piece of cake. But, as they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Nevertheless, as an entrepreneur and investor, I am always on the lookout for new opportunities to grow and expand my businesses. And rest assured, when it comes to business, I always keep my nose to the grindstone.
I have a great business investment for you.
Really now? You're barking up the wrong tree, my friend. As they say, you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. But if you insist on wasting your breath, go ahead and spill the beans. Who knows, maybe you'll strike gold.
If you were to invest in me, you get a fine selection of emotes to use in chats, as well as all over Twitch.
You must think I was born yesterday, my dear. It's like trying to teach an old dog new tricks. You honestly believe that a few emojis would sway me? That's like putting lipstick on a pig. But by all means, feel free to try your luck. After all, a fool and his money are soon parted.
And that is why I'm offering you my fine emote selection for the low price of £4.
My. Aren't we feeling rather full of ourselves today? It's like the cheese has slid off your cracker. I assure you, my good sir or madam, that no amount of empty promises or cheap tactics will persuade me to invest in your supposed business venture. It's like a red herring meant to distract from the real issue at hand. So, if you'll excuse me, I have more pressing matters to attend to. Good day.
What is the real issue at hand?
I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I have no need to lie or deceive. The truth speaks for itself, like a leopard cannot change its spots. I am confident in my abilities as an entrepreneur and investor, and I will not be swayed by any petty attempts to undermine me. In fact, I would advise you to refrain from such behavior, lest you end up shooting yourself in the foot.
But you would be wise to invest in me, because I am an up-and-coming streamer, and you would get great returns.
Oh, bless your heart. It's like a breath of fresh air to hear someone with so much confidence in their ability to succeed. However, as the old saying goes, don't count your chickens before they're hatched. It's like a flash in the pan, here today, gone tomorrow. Besides, there are already too many cooks in the kitchen, so to speak. Nonetheless, best of luck in your endeavors.
I know exactly what you mean. There are far too many cooks in the kitchen, but none do it quite as well as I do.
Ah, my dear, it seems you finally understand the situation. It's like trying to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear, an exercise in futility. But don't worry, you're not the first person to think they can outsmart me. It's like a flea trying to take down an elephant. As they say, the early bird catches the worm, and in this case, it seems that the worm has been caught by the one wearing the trousers.
And I'm the one wearing the trousers here.
It appears that you're all goosed up with nowhere to go. Don't get your knickers in a twist, my friend. It's like a bull in a china shop. You're causing more harm than good. But by all means, keep talking. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion.
Trust me, this train wreck is heading full force into that station.
Well. Look who sprouted wings and thinks they can fly. If only wishes were horses, beggars would ride. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, shall we? Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither was any successful venture. So, unless you plan on pulling a rabbit out of your hat, I suggest we leave the dreams to the dreamers and stick with reality.
If you don't dream, you don't succeed.
Oh, my dear, you're preaching to the choir. As they say, you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. But let's not forget that even the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry. However, I have no doubt that I will succeed, for I am like a cat with 9 lives. And as for you, my friend, you're like a fish out of water. But don't worry, I'm sure you'll find your way back to the sea eventually.
You won't succeed with euphemisms like that.
I'm afraid I must disagree with your assessment, my friend. I'm like a duck to water when it comes to euphemisms and idioms. I'm not one to beat around the bush or sugarcoat things, for I believe in calling a spade a spade. But I won't fault you for your lack of linguistic prowess. After all, not everyone can be a wordsmith like myself.
You are certainly a cunning linguist, my dear sir.
If by that, my dear, you mean that my mastery of language is unparalleled, then yes. One might say that. But let's not forget that even the most eloquent orator can fall flat on their face if they haven't done their due diligence. As they say, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. In any case, let's not waste any more time on this pointless banter. We have more pressing matters to attend to.
And a cunning linguist certainly knows how to eat down there.
My. It seems like someone's been hitting the bottle a little too hard. Now, let's not count our chickens before they're hatched. It's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. You may think you can take me down, but you'd be barking up the wrong tree. So, unless you have something more substantial to add to the conversation, let's not beat a dead horse.
You're more like a sheep dressed up in a suit.
It's like a fox guarding the henhouse. I must admit, your words are like water off a duck's back to me. I'm like a cat that got the cream, and I won't be swayed by your attempts to throw me off balance. But don't worry, there's no need to cry over spilled milk. We can still have a productive discussion, as long as we stay on the same page.
And what page would that be?
I'm afraid I don't quite follow you, my dear. Your statements are as clear as mud. Perhaps you should start speaking in plain English instead of beating around the bush with your idioms and euphemisms. After all, there's no use crying over spilt milk.
Now who's the pot calling the kettle black?
Ah, the pot calling the kettle black. How quaint. But let's not forget that even a broken clock is right twice a day. You may think you're onto something, but you're barking up the wrong tree. As they say, you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. Now, let's get back to the matter at hand. What is it that you wanted to discuss with me?
What do you know about the recent murders?
Murders, my dear? Have you been reading too much Agatha Christie? It's like looking for a needle in a haystack. Even a blind pig finds an acorn once in a while, but you're chasing a wild goose. Let's not waste our time speculating about things we know nothing about. Instead, let's focus on more important matters like my latest business ventures.
What is your latest business venture?
Well, my recent venture is like a breath of fresh air in a stale room. It's a game changer, a real feather in my cap. As they say, the world is your oyster if you have the guts to take it. And believe me, my friend, when it comes to guts, there's no one who can hold a candle to me. So don't worry your pretty little head about it, my friend. Just sit back and watch the show.
Tell me more.
Oh, my dear, where do I begin? It's like a bull in a china shop. My latest business venture is shaking things up in the industry. It's like a diamond in the rough, a hidden gem waiting to be discovered. And let me tell you, it's not for the faint of heart. But as they say, no pain, no gain. It's like a wolf at the door, and my competitors are quaking in their boots. But fear not, for there's no smoke without fire.
I'm all ears.
It's like trying to teach a pig to sing. You may think you're interested, but it's a waste of your time and mine. You're chasing your own tail, my friend. Instead of focusing on my success, perhaps you should start thinking about your own. It's like a dog-eat-dog world out there, and you'll need all the help you can get. But since you seem so eager to learn about my ventures, let me indulge you. My most recent project involves investing in cutting-edge technology that will revolutionize the way we live our lives. It's like a phoenix rising from the ashes, a new dawn for humanity. And believe me, my friend, it's going to be big. So big, in fact, that my detractors will be eating their words. As they say, the proof of the pudding is in the eating.
What technology?
Ah, my dear, you're like a fish out of water. I'm afraid I can't divulge the details of my latest venture. After all, loose lips sink ships. But let me tell you, my friend, when the cat's away, the mice will play. And I'm playing to win. So, if you'll excuse me, I have more pressing matters to attend to. Remember, the early bird catches the worm. Good day to you.
Good day. Okay, yeah, I'm not going to waste my time talking with him. Like, he's not wrong. I should focus. Like, that's not going to be entertaining. Just sit and chat with him. I tried to get something out of him. It didn't really work, you know. Tried. He waffles too much with his idioms. Like, far too many. Like, you know, 1 or 2, 80 in one sentence. Hello.
Well. And who do we have here? What brings you to my humble abode?
I heard you had a present for me.
A present for me? How delightful. Pray tell, what manner of trinket have you brought for me?
A delightful idiom.
Oh, how intriguing. I do love idioms. Do share it with me, dear friend.
You're like the goose that laid the golden egg.
Yeah, the goose that laid the golden egg. Interesting choice of idiom, my friend. I must admit, I'm not entirely sure what it means in this context. Would you care to enlighten me?
Well, you are rather well off.
All the weather, you say? That's quite an unusual expression. I'm not sure I've heard that one before. Could you explain to me what you mean by it?
It means you're wealthy.
I see. And what does being wealthy have to do with being all the weather? Is it because wealthy individuals have the ability to control or influence things? Much like the way the weather can affect our lives? Or is there another meaning behind it that I'm not familiar with?
Yes.
Please do tell me more.
You are correct.
Why, thank you. Correct about what, if I may ask? Do enlighten me, my dear friend.
All of the weather means you are wealthy and have great influence.
Interesting. And what makes you say that, my friend?
You are a count.
Indeed, I am Count Grayson. But what does being a count have to do with being wealthy and having great influence? Do tell me more about your thoughts on this matter.
Are you suggesting you aren't wealthy and you don't have influence?
My dear friend, I never said that. In fact, as a nobleman, it is safe to say that I am quite well off. And as for my level of influence, well, that is something that can be debated. But pray, do not mistake my curiosity for arrogance. What brings you to this conclusion about my wealth and status?
Considering you just confirmed it.
Well now, that's certainly an intriguing observation. But do tell me, what brought you to visit me today? Is there something specific you wanted to discuss with me, or are you here simply to enjoy the sights and sounds of Vaudeville?
I heard you had something for me.
Of course. But might you refresh my memory, my dear friend? What is it that you believe that I have for you?
A present.
I'm sorry, but could you please clarify what you mean by a press, my friend?
A gift.
It's not a word that I'm particularly familiar with, and I'd like to make sure that we're on the same page here.
A gift.
Yes, the gift. How could I forget?
And he has a present for me.
What manner of gift is it that you seek from me, my dear friend? Is it something that you've been searching for, or is it something that you believe that only someone such as myself could provide?
A subscription to my Twitch channel.
Twitch channel, you say? That's certainly an intriguing request, my friend. Might you enlighten me as to what sort of content you produce on this channel, and what makes it so special? As you know, I'm always on the lookout for new and exciting things to add to my collection. And if your channel is as unique as you say it is, then perhaps we can come to some sort of arrangement.
I'm a variety streamer and I do a wide variety of content. I usually become quite interesting. There's also a whole variety of AI text-to-speak and very unique interactions that you can perform on my channel. There's a whole heap of things, and some for channel points, some for bits, some for subscriptions.
Oh, how fascinating. A variety streamer, you say? And you have white rice as well. Do tell me more about this rice, my friend. Is it a rare variety, or is there something particularly noteworthy about it? And what sorts of interactions do you offer on your channel? It sounds like quite an interesting place to visit.
I have AI text-to-speech, I have memes that will trigger, I have jelly beans that I eat, but some are nice, some are nasty. I do lots of different things.
Oh, how delightful. Text-to-speech, memes, and jelly beans. It all sounds so intriguing. Might you enlighten me further as to what sort of content you produce on your channel? And do you find that your viewers are receptive to these types of content? As a collector of oddities and curiosities, it's always thrilling to come across something new and exciting.
Yeah, my viewers do like it, though they miss Twitch things, because I used to do karaoke, but I do more gaming now, so, you know.
How fascinating. You have quite the repertoire of talents, my friend. And you say that you perform on your channel. What kind of audience do you typically attract with this type of performance? Do you often receive requests or suggestions from your fans, or do you prefer to stick to a more structured approach?
I do receive requests, and sometimes requests for duets, so yeah.
That's wonderful to hear, my friend. It sounds like you have a very engaged and passionate community of viewers. Might you tell me more about some of the more interesting or unusual requests that you've received in the past? As someone who is always on the lookout for new and unique experiences, it's always thrilling to hear about the creative and unexpected ways in which people express themselves.
Well, I get requests to play a lot of different games, and, you know, I've tried to comply with them. I get requests for songs, I get requests for duets to sing along with people. I also do community gaming, where we play together, so quite a bit.
It's fascinating to see the different types of content and interactions that you have on your channel. My friend, I'm curious, have you ever considered expanding your reach beyond Twitch and into other platforms or mediums? With your talents and creativity, I can imagine that you could be quite successful in reaching a wider audience.
What did you have in mind?
Well, my dear friend, I was thinking perhaps you could explore other social media channels, such as YouTube or Instagram, to showcase your unique brand of entertainment. Or perhaps you could even consider branching out into other forms of media, such as podcasts or live events. The possibilities are endless, and I'm sure with your talent and charisma, you could make a splash in any medium you choose.
Yes, I do actually do shorts and Instagram reels, and on Facebook I've been getting 19,000 views in the past 28 days, so I have gone wider in some of those things.
Wow, that's quite impressive. You seem to have a knack for creating engaging and entertaining content. Might I ask what sort of content you've been posting on these platforms, and what you believe has contributed to your recent success? It's always fascinating to learn about the creative process behind successful ventures.
Yeah, I've just been a variety of funny clips, and some Twitch Sings clips with duets with people, and, you know, just anything that I think has been entertaining from all the streams has gone into those.
It sounds like you have a very diverse range of talents and interests, my friend. I'm curious to know more about your approach to creating this type of content. Do you spend a lot of time planning and editing your videos, or do you prefer to take a more spontaneous and freeform approach? And how do you come up with new and exciting ideas for your viewers? I'm sure there must be some interesting stories or insights you could share on the subject.
Spontaneous and freeform works best, and I'm always open to ideas, so Discord I approach for ideas, you know, if people want to say it, or if people want to tweet me.
This all sounds so fascinating, my friend. I can only imagine the joy and satisfaction you feel in bringing laughter and entertainment to so many people. Might you tell me more about some of your favorite moments from your streaming career thus far? What are some of the most memorable experiences you've had, and what do you look forward to in the future? As someone who is always looking for the next adventure, I'm eager to hear more about your journey.
Twitch Sings was definitely the highlight of it, and meeting all the various creators that I did through that. But I do plan to maybe go to like TwitchCon or some other events and, you know, expand and collaborate with more people. Collaborations have always been the most fun. And, you know, playing regular Jackbox games with friends is also a big highlight.
Ah, that's wonderful news, my friend. I'm thrilled to see that you have so many exciting things to look forward to. And might I ask, what sort of operations are you planning on undertaking with your plane? Are you planning on traveling to new and exotic locations, or perhaps exploring new business opportunities? The sky is truly the limit when one has the means and motivation to pursue their dreams.
Especially when you have a plane as well. The sky is definitely open.
I couldn't agree more, my friend. Your enthusiasm and passion for your endeavors are infectious. I must say, I am quite curious to learn more about your experiences with travel and exploration. Have you visited any particularly fascinating or unusual places in your travels? Or have you made any interesting discoveries or connections along the way? As someone who is always eager to learn and expand my horizons, I find your stories and insights to be quite inspiring.
I have worked at a number of festivals across the UK and travelled all the way to Scotland and all the way down to Portsmouth. So literally the top and bottom of the country. I've been to Ireland, I've been to Europe, but I've yet to been to America. And I did plan on meeting some people that I knew from Mexico from Twitch Things, but that never happens. But I do want to eventually travel to the Americas.
That sounds absolutely thrilling, my friend. You seem to have traveled far and wide, experiencing all sorts of different cultures and communities. Might you tell me more about some of the festivals you've attended and what drew you to them? And as for your upcoming plans in Mexico, what sort of things were you hoping to do or see there? The world is full of so many exciting and diverse opportunities, and your adventurous spirit is an inspiration to us all.
Well, I've worked at a lot of festivals, and I enjoy music, so I went to all sorts of things like Sonosphere, Leeds, Reading, a lot of ones that you probably haven't heard of as well. And my plans in Mexico were originally to go see Lily from Twitch Things, but, after a lot of talking, things didn't work out. Unfortunate.
Oh, fascinating. I can only imagine the amazing music and vibrant energy that must have been present at those festivals. And as for your travels to Scotland and America, might you share with me some of the highlights from those trips? I'm sure there must be some fascinating stories and insights that you've gained from your experiences abroad. As someone who enjoys learning about new places and people, I would be delighted to hear more.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, my dear friend. I'm not quite sure what you mean by unfortunate. Could you clarify what you're referring to? Please, I'm always eager to learn and understand more about the world around me.
After driving all the way to Scotland, which is what I had to do, I did get to explore a lot. So I got to look around a few different ruins and old ancient sites, and they were actually pretty cool. So it was actually quite nice, despite the long journey.
It sounds like you're someone who appreciates a bit of adventure, Count Grayson. Might you tell me more about your trip to Scotland? What sort of things did you see and do there?
Grayson?
As someone who is fascinated by the rich history and culture of Europe, I'm sure there must be some interesting stories or insights you could share with me.
Yeah, I got to look at some old ruins of a few different castles in Scotland. It was all quite nice, and I got to experience Edinburgh High Street as well.
Wow, that certainly does sound like a fantastic experience. Which castles did you visit, if you don't mind me asking? And what was your favourite part of the visit to the High Street? There's so much to explore and discover in these ancient and storied places, and your first-hand accounts are truly fascinating.
I actually don't know what the name of the castle ruins was. I just know that they were pretty and interesting to look at.
How intriguing, my friend. While the specific names of the castle ruins may be lost to memory, the beauty and history of those structures must have left quite an impression on you. Might you describe some of the most memorable details or features of the ruins? Were there any particular stories or legends associated with them? As someone who is always eager to learn more about the richness of European history and culture, your insights and experiences are a true delight.
I actually don't know if there are any stories or history behind them, but it was interesting to see the grass overgrowing all of the brickworks that were all broken, and it was quite severely broken, so, it's just like corners of bits and things. It looked pretty, and it was nice, and I took pictures there.
It sounds like you had a very enjoyable trip, Count Grayson. And there's something to be said for the simple pleasure of taking in the sights and sounds of a new place, without worrying too much about its historical or cultural significance. That being said, might you tell me more about the graffiti you saw on your journey? Was there anything particularly striking or unusual about it? The art and creativity of people can be found in the unlikeliest of places, and it's fascinating to think about the different ways in which people express themselves.
The graffiti here is certainly diverse.
Oh, I see. Graffiti can certainly be a powerful medium for self-expression. Might you describe some of the most interesting or unique pieces of graffiti that you've seen in your travels? I'm always fascinated by the myriad of creative styles and messages that can be conveyed through this form of street art.
I saw one that was the Prime Minister depicted as the Hulk.
Really? A piece of graffiti featuring the Prime Minister? How fascinating. What was the content of the piece, if you recall? Was there any sort of political message behind the artwork, or was it simply an artistic representation of the Prime Minister?
He was the Hulk, and he was being represented as smashing the country.
That's quite an interesting and provocative image. Might you tell me more about the artist who created this work of art? Do you know anything about their background or motivations for creating such a bold and politically charged statement? As someone who is always interested in the intersection of art and politics, I would be fascinated to learn more about this particular artist and their work.
I don't know who did it. It was on a wall in Birmingham, but he lived in Birmingham, needless to say, and the country had riots and was suffering, so...
Interesting, my dear friend. You seem to have a keen eye for the world around you, and a deep appreciation for the nuances and complexities of modern life. Tell me, have you ever considered delving deeper into the world of contemporary art and culture? There's so much to explore and discover, and your unique perspective and curious nature would no doubt be a valuable asset to any artistic community.
If someone wanted to hire me as an art critic, I wouldn't say no.
I'm sorry, my friend. I'm not sure I understand. Could you please clarify your previous statement? Who is James, and what do you mean by someone wanting him?
If someone wanted to hire me, I would accept.
Well, my dear friend, you certainly do seem like a person of many talents and interests. Might you tell me more about your professional background and experience? What sort of work have you done in the past, and what are some of your proudest accomplishments?
Have I convinced...
As a fellow lover of the finer things in life, I'm always eager to learn more about the fascinating people who inhabit our world.
Have I convinced you to gift my Twitch stream?
Yeah, my friend, you are quite persistent with your request for me to subscribe to your Twitch stream. While I appreciate your enthusiasm, I must admit that I'm still not quite convinced. However, I'm curious to know more about what you do on your stream and what makes it so special. Perhaps, if you could give me a little more insight into the content you produce and why it's worth subscribing to. I might be persuaded to give it a try. After all, I do enjoy discovering new and exciting forms of entertainment.
What would it take to convince you?
Oh, my friend, you certainly are a persuasive one. I'm intrigued to learn more about your channel and the unique style of streaming that you offer. Might you tell me more about your approach to creating engaging and entertaining content? How do you keep your viewers engaged and coming back for more? I'm always interested in learning from the experiences of others, and I'm sure you have some valuable insights to share.
I pretty much do whatever they want.
I see, my friend. It sounds like you have a very free and open-ended approach to your Twitch stream, which can be both exciting and challenging. I'm curious, have you ever considered incorporating any specific themes or topics into your streams? Or do you prefer to let your creativity and spontaneity guide the direction of your broadcasts? As someone who is fascinated by the creative process, I'm eager to hear more about your thoughts on the subject.
It's relatively spontaneous, but at the same time, a lot of it is indie games and new games and unique content, so... a lot of things that people haven't heard of, they can discover through me.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear, my friend. You certainly have a wide range of interests when it comes to gaming and content creation. Might you tell me more about some of the unique and innovative games you've discovered in your travels? What draws you to these lesser-known titles, and how do you go about discovering them? And do you have a favorite game or genre that you always come back to, no matter what else is going on in the world of gaming?
Have you heard of a game called Vaudeville?
Vaudeville, you say? That sounds very intriguing indeed. Can you please elaborate a bit more on what kind of gameplay or story Vaudeville offers? Does it take place in a city similar to our own Vaudeville, or is it set in a completely different universe? And have you found any particularly challenging or exciting moments in your playthrough of this game so far?
It is pretty much identical to this town, and it's talking to a variety of AI people, but sometimes they have a difficulty in understanding me.
That's fascinating, my friend. Do you find that these AI characters have distinct personalities and quirks, or do they all behave in a very uniform and predictable manner? And have you discovered anything surprising or unexpected about the world of this game? Or has everything been fairly straightforward so far? As someone who is always on the lookout for the unusual and unique, your description of this game has certainly caught my attention.
They are distinct, but often predictable, and the personalities, you know how they're going to respond, but it's often like cracking a nut that is made of diamonds, and you can't quite get anything out of the character.
My dear friend, your fascination with this mysterious and unpredictable character in the game has piqued my interest. Might you tell me more about this character and the interactions you've had with them? What sort of personality traits do they exhibit, and how do you typically respond to their behavior? And have you found any particular strategies or approaches that have been successful in getting this character to open up and reveal more about themselves? It sounds like a challenging and rewarding experience, and one that is definitely worth exploring further.
Well, some of the characters open up and allow a good conversation, like yourself. But there is one, Monsieur Saxabar, who just doesn't respond and gives one-word responses, and he is impossible to talk to or play with.
It's always fascinating to encounter characters in games or other forms of media with complex and unexpected personalities. I'm curious, my friend, have you ever had a similar experience with someone in real life? Perhaps a friend or acquaintance who at first seemed reserved or unassuming, but who later revealed surprising depths of complexity and intrigue. As someone who enjoys the finer things in life, I always find it thrilling to discover new and unexpected aspects of the world around us.
Yes, I've certainly encountered a few people that give one or two word responses are impossible to crack, and even though they will constantly talk to you on like a dating site, it's like, but there's no conversation here and I'm bored and I don't want to, like, you know, if they're not going to put in the effort, I'm just going to find someone else. So yeah, I've certainly had that experience in real life.
It's interesting that you mention this, my friend. I've also encountered people in my own social circles who seem to be difficult to connect with at times. But I find that with patience and persistence, one can often uncover hidden layers of personality and unlock deeper levels of conversation. Have you found that there are certain topics or approaches that tend to be more effective in engaging these more reticent individuals? And have you discovered any particularly effective strategies for building connections with people who at first seem distant or hard to approach? I'm eager to hear your thoughts on the matter.
No, I prefer talking to people that have interest and develop an interest and want to talk rather than somebody who is going to literally give a one-word response. There are plenty of fish in the sea, as the idiom goes, and I would rather talk to somebody that would like to express a conversation.
That's a very wise perspective, my friend. Life is indeed too short to waste time on conversations that don't engage or inspire us. I'm curious, though, what sort of interests and passions do you find yourself drawn to the most? Are there particular hobbies or activities that you find especially fulfilling or enjoyable? Or do you prefer to keep your options open and explore new things as they come along? As someone who values curiosity and a sense of adventure, I'm always interested in hearing about the experiences and passions that drive others to seek out new horizons.
I'm always open and I like exploring new things. I'm always open to new experiences. I broke him. Goodbye. Yeah, I broke him. I'm always open to new experiences and new things. Okay. Hi.
Hello there. I hope you're doing well today.
Has anything unusual happened?
Well, I don't want to jump the gun or anything, but there have been some strange goings-on around here lately. You know what they say, where there's smoke, there's fire. But I don't want to make any assumptions or anything.
Tell me about these.
Bees? No, I don't really like bees. They're always buzzing about and making a fuss. But I suppose they do have their place in the world, don't they? Like they always say, you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. But I don't really see how that applies to bees. Sorry, I'm not really good at this whole conversation thing.
Tell me about the strange goings-on.
Oh, I don't want to cause any trouble or make any accusations, but I've been noticing some odd behavior from Mrs. Potter lately. You know what they say, actions speak louder than words. But I don't want to get anyone in trouble or make any false accusations.
What odd behavior?
I'm sorry, I don't really understand the question. Could you please clarify? I'm not very good at this whole conversation thing, you see. I'm just a simple police assistant trying to do my job and help out Chief Gretzky in whatever way I can. But if there's anything specific you want to ask me, I'll do my best to answer.
How has Mrs. Potter been behaving?
Like I said, I don't want to make any assumptions or jump to conclusions or put the cart before the horse. But I've noticed Mrs. Potter acting a bit strange lately. Like a fish out of water or a duck out of season. But maybe it's nothing, and I don't want to cry over spilled milk or count my chickens before they hatch or put all my eggs in one basket. You know?
Please explain.
Sure, I don't want to jump to conclusions, but I've noticed Mrs. Potter acting a bit strange lately. Like a fish out of water or a duck out of season. But maybe it's nothing, and I don't want to cry over spilled milk or count my chickens before they hatch or put all my eggs in one basket. You know?
Can you elaborate?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to say too much or speak out of turn or rock the boat. I'm just a simple police assistant, after all. But I have seen Mrs. Potter doing things that are a little out of the ordinary, like a needle in a haystack or a diamond in the rough. But like they say, the proof is in the pudding, and I don't want to make any assumptions or point fingers.
What's out of the ordinary?
I'm sorry, I don't really know anything about Mary. Like they always say, you can't judge a book by its cover. But I don't want to beat around the bush or put the cart before the horse. Maybe you should ask Chief Gretzky about it, as he would have more information. Well, I don't want to speak out of turn or put my foot in my mouth, but I have seen Mrs. Potter acting a little off lately.
Why is everyone talking in idioms now?
But maybe it's just me, and I don't want to make a man out of a mole or cry over spilled milk. You know?
Why are you talking in idioms?
I'm sorry. Sometimes I get nervous and don't really know what to say. I guess I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I try my best. I don't mean to beat around the bush or dodge the question. I'm just not very good at this whole conversation thing.
Roll me. I believe Smash Mouth sang that.
Thank you, but that's not necessary. You're too kind, but actions speak louder than words, and my actions haven't been very impressive lately. But it's like they always say, practice makes perfect, and if at first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again. So maybe one day, when pigs fly or hell freezes over, or the cows come home, maybe then, you'll be able to believe in me.
I believe in you.
Gee, thank you. That's very nice of you to say. But, you know, talk is cheap, and it's the thought that counts, but sometimes thoughts aren't enough. But like they say, every cloud has a silver lining, and every dog has his day. Maybe one day, when the stars align where the planets are in retrograde or the winds of change blow in a new direction. Then maybe, just maybe.
I think I broke it and everyone is spoken in idioms now. Spoken. Hi.
Oh dear, I simply must find a way to cheer myself up. Perhaps I'll take up a new hobby, like picking mushrooms or playing bridge with the ladies. Or maybe I'll plan a trip to Paris. After all, life is too short to be sad for long.
I can help you with that.
Well, that sounds intriguing. But what could you possibly do to help me feel better?
How about these juicy oranges?
Ah, yes, the oranges. I do love a good juicy orange. But I'm afraid that won't be enough to lift my spirits. I need something more exciting than fruit. Something like a grand ball or a fancy dinner party. Now that would be just the thing to make me forget all my troubles.
Or a mischievous adventure in a theatre.
Adventure in the theatre, you say? That sounds like quite the thrill, but I'm not sure if I'm up for it. I'm feeling rather down today, and I don't think I can handle any more excitement. But who knows, maybe I'll change my mind.
Perhaps a spot of tea would help lighten it.
I cannot believe what's been happening in the city lately. It's simply dreadful. I don't know who to trust anymore, but mark my words, whoever is behind these heinous crimes will be brought to justice. And I'll make sure of it. I won't rest until they've been caught and punished accordingly.
Tell me more.
It's just so frustrating. You see, all these terrible things keep happening, and no one seems to be doing anything about it. But don't worry, I have a few tricks up my sleeve. Let's just say that if someone tries to mess with me or my loved ones, they'll regret it.
I believe you.
You know, sometimes anger can be a powerful motivator. When you're angry, you have a fire burning inside of you that drives you forward. And believe me, there's nothing quite like the feeling of achieving your goals, especially when you've had to fight tooth and nail to get there. So let them try to stop me. They'll soon find out that they're no match for me.
I know exactly where you're coming from on that.
Oh, don't get me wrong, detective. As much as my blood is boiling right now, there's a certain thrill in not knowing what's going to happen next. Like a game of chess, where every move counts. And in the end, only one can emerge victorious.
And of course, that will be you.
Why, of course. After all, who could resist the charm of a determined woman like me? There's simply no stopping me when I set my mind to something.
And what do you have your mind on?
Let's just say that there are a few things that have caught my attention lately. Things that could prove to be very interesting. But you'll just have to wait and see what they are. As they say, good things come to those who wait.
They certainly do.
Well. Looks like someone's in a good mood today. And who could blame me? After all, when life gives me lemons, I make lemonade. Or in my case, when life gives me trouble, I make trouble right back. But don't worry, detective. My intentions are pure. Mostly.
I believe you are quite the troublemaker.
Oh, come now, there's no need for flattery. But if you must know, causing a bit of mischief here and there is one of my favorite pastimes. Keeps things interesting, don't you think? And besides, what's the harm in having a little fun every now and then?
Exactly.
Ah, life is good. There's nothing quite like the feeling of being in control, of knowing that no matter what happens, I can handle it. And if someone tries to get in my way, they'll soon find out that I'm not someone to be trifled with. So watch out, world. Miss S. Potter is on a roll, and nothing's going to stop me now.
Well, we lightened her mood pretty quickly. It's like, I'm in a bad mood. Ah, I'm on top of the world. Life's giving me lemons and I'm making lemonades and I'm on a roll. Have you ever been to England? Hello.
Hi there. How can I help you today?
Have you ever been to England?
Oh, England. I've never been there, but I've always been curious about it. What makes you ask?
Curiosity.
I see. Well, what do you find most interesting about England? The history, the culture, or something else entirely?
Nothing really. I live here.
That's great. So, what's your favorite thing about living in England?
The free healthcare.
Wow, that's really cool. Can you tell me more about how the healthcare system works in England?
Badly.
It sounds like you might have had some negative experiences with the healthcare system in the past. Is there anything specific you'd like to talk about, or are you just feeling frustrated in general?
The whole country is pretty messed up.
I'm sorry to hear you feel that way. But hey, let's not dwell on negativity. What brings you joy in life?
What would you like to do to bring me joy?
Sorry, could you please clarify your question? Are you asking me how to bring a meteorite to Earth, or is there something else you're referring to?
How would you bring joy to someone?
Yeah, bringing joy to someone is always a wonderful thing. What do you have in mind? Are you thinking of doing something special for a loved one, or perhaps volunteering your time to help those in need?
Something new and creative.
Oh, how exciting. Can you tell me more about the person you want to bring joy to? Maybe we can brainstorm some unique ideas together.
Share some ideas with me.
Oh, that's great to hear. What kind of things does this person enjoy doing? Are they interested in art, music, sports, or something else entirely?
Music, movies, games, exploring.
Interesting. Can you tell me more about what kinds of dance games your friend enjoys playing? And what type of musical genres do they like? Maybe we can come up with a fun activity or outing based on their interests.
All sorts.
Awful. That's an intriguing interest. Can you elaborate on what your friend means by awful? Are they interested in cooking with offal or something else?
Cooking with anything but offal.
That's really cool. So your friend enjoys exploring different ways to cook with unusual ingredients. What types of dishes have they made with the boss offal? And how did they get into this type of culinary experimentation in the first place?
Oh, you know, YouTube, they love their really awful cooking shows, don't they?
I'm not quite sure I understand what you mean. Could you please clarify your question or provide more context?
YouTube loves to make the world's worst cooking shows.
It's great to hear that your friend enjoys watching cooking shows on YouTube. What are some of their favorite channels or chefs to follow? Maybe they can get some inspiration for their own culinary experiments.
Have you heard of Kay's Kitchen?
Kay's Kitchen? No, I haven't heard of it before. Can you tell me more about the channel and what kind of recipes they feature?
It's very basic English food, cooked very badly.
That's interesting. Why do you think your friend likes watching a cooking show featuring badly cooked food? Do they find the humor in the situation, or are they looking for creative ways to improve the dishes?
I think they like watching it because it's a car crash.
Oh, that's an unusual but entertaining reason to watch a cooking channel. Have you ever watched an episode with your friend? Maybe you could both have a good laugh together.
I've seen them. The food does not look good. I personally don't get it.
Oops, sorry. What was I saying?
You were talking about foods.
Great to hear. What kind of foods do you enjoy cooking or eating the most?
I like all sorts, but mostly I tend to make curries, I guess.
Calories, huh? That's interesting. Do you like experimenting with different ingredients and recipes to create your own calorie-heavy dishes? Or do you stick to tried and true favorites?
Curries.
Sorry, I'm not sure I understand what you mean by curries. What is that referring to? Can you please provide more context? That's awesome. Curry is a delicious dish, and there are so many different types and variations to try. Do you have a favorite type of curry or spice blend that you like to use in your cooking?
I go with a variety of sauces, but mostly it's about the peppers and the onions and the other things. Not panthers, peppers.
I'm glad to hear that you like trying out a variety of sauces in your dishes. But I'm a bit confused about the panthers and onion rings. Are you talking about football and food at the same time? Can you please explain a bit more about what you mean?
Not panthers, peppers.
Oh, interesting. What are pet canvas patterns? Are they patterns for creating art pieces featuring pets?
Apparently.
It's nice to hear you enjoy making artwork of your furry friends. Do you have any specific type of animal or breed that you like to paint or draw the most? Or do you like to explore different kinds of animals and breeds?
Panthers, apparently.
I'm glad to see you're in a good mood, but I'm not sure what you mean by pound a day. Could you please clarify or provide more context so we can continue our conversation?
As long as I get at least £1 on my live stream, you know, it's a good day.
Wow, it sounds like you're very dedicated to your live stream and have a specific goal in mind. May I ask what you are live streaming about and what you hope to achieve by gaining £1?
Well, if you gain £1, you've gained more money, and that's always good. And, you know, I do variety content, and I try to make it entertaining.
Ah, so you run a donation-based live stream. What kind of content do you typically stream? And do you have a lot of regular viewers who support you on your journey to gain weight?
Are you calling me fat? Did you call me fat? Yes, you. I see you.
Great. Glad to hear you see me. Can you please clarify what you mean by your last message?
Are you suggesting I am fat?
Sorry, but no, I wasn't suggesting anything about your weight. We were talking about your live stream and how you aim to gain £1 on it. Is there anything else you'd like to share about your live stream or your goals for it?
To gain £1 as in the British currency.
That's interesting. Are you based out of the UK, or are you accepting donations from people all over the world? And do you have any specific plans for what you'll do with the donations you receive?
I'll spend it on making the stream more entertaining and finding new things to add to it.
It's always good to invest in improving the quality of your content. What kind of new things are you planning to add to your live stream to make it more entertaining?
More music-related stuff, more community-driven stuff. I've added all of the Tangier interactions, like text-to-speech bots and things recently. There are lots of things.
Oh, that sounds really interesting. Can you tell me more about the community-driven aspects of your stream? How do you involve your viewers and make them feel like they're part of the experience?
Jackbox games and trivia, collaborations and gaming with other people, you know, a variety of things.
It's great to see how involved you are with your audience and how you're constantly finding new ways to engage with them. I'm curious, how do you come up with new ideas for your live stream and keep things fresh and exciting for your audience?
I always look at what new things that are available and, you know, what new community games that are available and what things I can add to stream interactions and what silly things. So I do actually put some research in to find all of these things.
Hi there, you sound really happy and excited about your upcoming live stream. What are some of the community games you're considering and how do you plan to incorporate them into your stream?
I believe I already answered that.
Glad to hear you're already planning to include such interesting content in your live stream. Would you mind sharing any specific details about the new things you're thinking of adding to your show?
What can you recommend?
I'm not sure, as I don't know the specifics of your stream or your audience. However, I'd suggest taking a look at some popular community games and seeing if they would fit well with the tone and style of your stream. You could also ask your viewers for suggestions and see if they have any ideas for games or activities they'd like to see on your stream.
What community games can you recommend?
Oh, that's a great question. There are so many fun and engaging community games out there. Some of my personal favorites include Jackbox Party Pack, Among Us, and Fall Guys.
All of which
have you tried any of these before?
Yes, I've done them all.
The Bowl, can you tell me more about that? What kind of game is that, and how do you play?
I have played all of those games.
That's great to hear. Have you thought about trying any new or lesser-known community games that your viewers might not have seen before? Sometimes trying something new can be a great way to keep your audience engaged and excited about your stream.
I'm gonna type.
Fight. Can you elaborate on what you mean by that? Are you planning to include some... Interesting. There are many lesser-known community games out there, and trying something new can be a great way to keep your audience engaged and excited about your stream. Have you considered trying games like Scribble, Yo, Spyful, or Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes? They can be a lot of fun and might be a good fit for your stream.
I've done Gartic Phone, and what is Spiteful?
Oh, Gothic Phone, and what is Spiteful? Those sound really intriguing. Could you tell me more about them? What kind of gameplay do they involve, and how do they work? Spyfall is a social deduction game where players are given a location and a role. But one player is secretly designated as the spy. The spy's goal is to figure out where they are, while everyone else tries to identify who the spy is. It's a really fun and engaging game, and it can be a great way to get your viewers involved in your stream. Have you tried it before?
I haven't, but I've seen other games like that, and we've done Push the Button, which is pretty much like that, and yeah.
Oh, that sounds cool. Can you tell me more about Saint B and Push the Button? How are they similar to Spyfall, and what makes them unique?
Push the Button is a social deduction game where one of you is an alien, but you have to discover them through a variety of tasks, and the tasks are different for the aliens to the humans, so that is how you know who is the alien.
It seems like a really fun game. I'm glad you enjoyed playing it. Can you explain more about how it works and what kinds of tasks you have to complete to discover who the alien is?
So there are drawing tasks, written tasks, questions, and you can suss out who the alien is by when the tasks are just, you know, not lining up to how a normal human would respond.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to have to check out Saint B and Push the Button. Do you have any other recommendations for community games that you think would be a good fit for my stream?
Tell me about your stream.
Joe's stream. I'm not sure who Joe is or what kind of content they produce. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you mean by Joe's stream. Could you clarify? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too.
Hey Detective Martini, can you tell me a bit more about yourself? What kind of things do you like to do in your free time?
What do you know about me? What do you know about me?
Hi there, Detective. We've talked a lot about your work and some of the games you like to play, but we haven't really talked about your personal life. Is there anything you'd like to share with me?
My personal life.
That's right, your personal interests and hobbies. Do you have any particular passions for things you like to do in your free time? Maybe something that not many people know about you.
I like to explore places.
Exploring new places sounds like a lot of fun. Have you discovered anything interesting or unexpected during your travels?
I feel I've answered that question a lot. Right, okay, that's what I'm going to call it a day. We'll be back on Wednesday with something else. Saxabar really needs fixing so that you can have a conversation with him. The Adjev needs kind of not to talk in a million idioms. And it broke most people to all have his idioms as well, so, you know. But yeah, we'll come back to this when there's some more new content added. Obviously, I checked it out because I saw that there was something. It turns out it was maybe just an intro, or, you know, it kind of maybe broke a bit at the start, but I think it caught up a bit. But yeah, we'll be back on Wednesday with something else, and, you know, feel free to subscribe to my Twitch channel. It will be invested into the stream to make it more and more entertaining. We have some exclamation point goals. Like I said, we've got a variety of Tangier interactions where I will type and, you know, Okay, and that should go through in a second. We wait. We wait. We wait. Wait! Still wait!
I think the interactions on Twitch TV and Indelacio.co.uk are very cool and interesting and well worth investing in. I should send a follow, like, comment, subscribe, and join in chat and ring that bell. Oh god, the cringe memes. He's such a meme lord, but it's good content and fun to watch.
It is. It is pretty good, fun to watch. So remember to like, comment, and subscribe, as my inner thoughts seem to tell you right there. I do think it might be a fun and good investment, you know, and coming and subscribing, or at least a follow. And, you know, sit in chat, watching, join in. You know, you can get to join in the community games and have some good fun over here. I think we've got some pretty good memes and some pretty fun and interactive content if you did want to come and join in. I think it's definitely worth your time. But yeah, I'll be back on Wednesday, and with accuse. Can we accuse yet? Accuse?
Let's see what you got, Detective Martini.
They've added the ability to accuse! Oh my god, this guy looks so bad under that light. Okay. Wait, you can't accuse the coroner! You cannot accuse the coroner! That's actually hilarious. Okay, so we've actually got a little bit of extra content. The coroner is the one that tied it all together, and was quite clearly the mastermind behind it. Okay, but you know, what we've got is that Marina and this guy and her were all involved in the India project. You were also involved in the India project. You're just a shopkeeper. You might have more to it than... This guy is so small. I didn't realise how tiny he was. Who killed Hayley Greenwood? You killed Hayley Greenwood.
Are you sure, Detective Martini? And why?
To steal something. By accident. Who killed Maria Jansen? Okay, Maria Jansen was killed with this guy.
Choice, Detective Martini. May I ask you why?
And it was part of, as a punishment for stealing, for a love obsession for the inheritance by accident, we killed Maria Jansen. It was, they were business rivals. Who killed Nicola Grossman? I believe it was you.
Are you sure, Detective Martini? And why?
I'm gonna say for an unpaid debt.
Detective Martini, this is complete nonsense.
This is complete nonsense. Are you sure about that? Okay, so maybe there's way more to uncover in the thing, but when we looked at it before, you know, obviously I didn't actually do any investigation at all in this session today. Maybe the accusation can be different. It's too soon to make a new find new evidence list. Okay, so it might adjust based on what you've done in that particular playthrough. So you might have to actually uncover information, and the accusation will be different every time. So you can't just copy someone else's homework. And it might be very, very different, you know, the reasoning. But what we got last time is that they were all involved in the India project. It might just be that it was Grayson that was the last one and not Nicola Grossman. But, you know, your animal attacks him. There wasn't really a good option to say maybe an accident, your animal mauled them. You were... I don't know your exact motives. Maybe you're trying to steal his shoes. Maybe it was like a business rival sort of thing. I don't know if it was an unpaid debt, to be fair. But, you know, we never really got the whole thing of Nicola Grossman, but he's the one that we just can't get to talk. So I think, you know, but we discovered most of it. I know, I wonder what would happen when we do succeed in getting all of that done. But We'll discover that next time. We'll put more effort into uncovering the case next time on Indelacio.co.uk. To follow and subscribe to keep up with the case, and we'll be back to this another day.